Hi, this is Steve Ouellette with the ROI Alliance. And today I thought I would talk to you about how we measure and improve empowerment with data, showing you how the ROI Alliance uses a survey and data analysis to result in an action plan to where supervisors can genuinely improve employee empowerment. So you'd better start off defining what empowerment is. And you hear about this in the press a lot, but we define it pretty simply. Empowerment just means that your employee can say, I have everything I need to get the job done. Now, it's management's obligation to provide the components so that the employee they've hired to do the job can actually do the job. Now, some organizations will have pretty high empowerment, in which case you don't have to do this, or you do this to check every once in a while and you move on towards engagement. But many organizations are going to have to work on empowerment first, because if you don't have good empowerment, if people can't come in and say they can get the job done, talking about the next level up, engagement, is probably going to make you seem rather foolish. So you need to start at the lowest level that needs work. How do we go about doing this? Well, until somebody invents an app where you can scan somebody and ask them with this app if they are empowered, we're probably going to have to ask them questions, and that probably means a survey. So there's an online survey that your employees would take to where they would answer certain questions to make sure that they are in fact empowered, starting off with an overall level of empowerment and then going down into our model to break apart the pieces of empowerment. Now, once that is done, we come back with an analysis. Now, here's one piece of that analysis. This is indicating that about 63.63% stated that they agreed or strongly agreed that they were empowered to do their job. But that left 36.37% who weren't empowered to do their job, at least to some level. And of course, the first question that you as a manager are going to ask is, why is that? Well, to the naive person, it might seem that you would just go into the graphs and find out which graph was the worst, but that's not the way it works. What we do is something called a CHAID analysis, and a CHAID analysis tries to find out how people in answering one question influence or associate with how they answered another question. So in this case, I'm interested in how they answered the being empowered or not question, and I'm looking across all the other questions that we asked them to see if there are any relationships that show up there. So let's zoom in on that top one and take a look at what that's showing us. So there's a bunch of people who are not empowered, that's my red block, and some more people who are empowered, that's my green block. The analysis has identified the question that has the strongest association with how they answered, whether they're empowered or not, was a question about authority, whether they had authority within their span of control to accomplish the job. Now look at the results here. On the right-hand side, we have people who disagreed or strongly disagreed that they had authority. And look at that, about 81.4% of them also said they weren't empowered. So what this analysis has identified is a potential area to work on, authority. If they say that they neither agree nor disagree that they have sufficient authority within their span of control, on the left-hand side you can see that's 57.1% who weren't empowered. So it's better than if they disagree, but not by much. And then if they agree or strongly agree that they have authority within their span of control, you can see that only 17.6% aren't empowered and 82.4% are. So what this gives is something for the managers to work on in order to improve their employees' overall sense of empowerment. Now, how would you go about doing that? Well, if we zoom in on this authority question and we take a look at how people answered that question, we see that a lot of them were saying neither agree nor disagree, disagree or strongly disagree. It doesn't necessarily tell me where to work. And so the next level down, we've asked another question: what barrier within authority do they have to accomplish the job? And now we see that the biggest answer, the highest answer, the mode, is multiple parties must be consulted in order to make any decision related to accomplishing my job. This gives me, as a supervisor, something that I can target to try to figure out and answer the question of, why do we have this impression? Why do multiple parties need to be consulted before you can make a decision? And if I can help resolve that, if I can make that part of this graph go down, then the previous CHAID analysis indicates that I'm going to be able to have an effect on my overall empowerment. So what does this look like after multiple applications of the survey itself? This is what you can do. This is an organization that started off with 65.1% of their employees empowered. So about a third of their employees did not feel they could do the job. With the analysis that we did, that indicated that there was an issue in association with the authority question that we saw. So then the question becomes, what is management going to do about this? And what they did in between the first and the second survey is they came in and redesigned the organization. So the organization was aligned along functional order. What they did when they saw these results is they realized that if everything is organized functionally, nobody's got authority for the product that they are actually producing. And so what they did is they reorganized along the services that they provided. And that immediately, once it was revealed after the second survey, popped them up to about a 77.7% employee empowerment rate. We reapplied the survey, did a different analysis, found some different things showing up, and then came up with another plan. In this case, it was creating individual supervisor reports, because what one supervisor should be working on for their individual people could be quite different than another supervisor in another part of the organization. So this one generated individual supervisor reports to tell each supervisor what they could do to get their people most empowered. The next little tick up started becoming apparent when we did the analysis for that fourth one. And it turned out that performance evaluations are actually preventing people from getting the job done in terms of who's accountable for what. And so we revised how the performance evaluations were done, and in turn that resulted in the fifth one at a 92.1% employee empowerment. And if you notice, they kept on going on to 96.6% empowered, which is pretty remarkable in any organization. So this is what you can accomplish using data in a well-designed survey, along with some advanced analytical techniques that we provide to actually target, measure, and then improve employee empowerment. So if you're interested, please give us a call. We can set something up for you. We can help you empower your employees. Thanks for listening.